Hello there folks, I'm Dan Brown from sortofinteresting.com and today you're joining me for a guided tour of my humble narrowboat home. That's good old Narrowboat Ablesark. But in this one, now that I've been on board for about 8 months or so, this is my second narrowboat. For those who may not be familiar with my videos, I'm going to give you a proper, really honest guided tour and look at the layout and discuss the positives and negatives. And it may be interesting for people just curious about boats and stuff. It may be useful for people who are potentially looking to buy a boat and have questions about layouts and usage of space and stuff. So I suppose, without further ado, let's get stuck in. Right, I'm very keen to get inside as it's pretty chilly out here, it's got to be said. So, just for a brief bit of information, this is a boat that's I think about 23 years old if I'm right, made by Liverpool Boats, 45 feet long. As you can see, we've got a nice scratch cover over the front. Underneath that little section there, you can roll that up and it's got a little window area on both sides. And then looking down to the back here, you can see we've also got a big pram hood cover on the back. So again, that's very nice and adds some extra dry space to the length of the boat. And the main proper indoor cabin area here is 30 foot. So you've got 15 feet outdoors and 30 foot indoors. Let's get stuck in. So my friends, first things first, you can see from the outside that the area covered over on the stern is a pretty sizable bit of space to add to the boat as a relatively weatherproof, well, almost entirely weatherproof area. So if we unzip the huge side door here, you can see we can either knock down this bottom section of the cover or just step over it. Oh, over we go. And now, as I turn around, we zip this up and we're now in a pretty weatherproof environment, I'd say. Obviously it's only a thin material cover, so you're not going to be able to heat this up and keep the heat in here like you are on the inside of the boat properly. But in reality, somewhere like this, to be able to come and sit out or stand out and have a natter and stuff in most weather conditions is quite nice, and especially when there's a lot of rain hammering down. You can imagine how loud it is out here, but while you're like safe on the inside, it's actually quite a nice sort of environment. And obviously we've got plenty of windows, as you can see, all over the place, so it's nice and light in here. And I'd say over the summer months, this area with the built-in seating that you're seeing now, just going around the back end of the stern here, is obviously a great area. During the winter months, this is where it's very useful that it's so weatherproof out here, that obviously there's certain things as you're out and about travelling on the canal you don't want to store on the main inside cabin area of the boat. So having a pretty much waterproof area out here under this cover. Obviously I can keep bags of rubbish out here waiting to get to the next bin and stuff. I've got a few bags of a few bags of wood here, sorry, and I've obviously got some wood here that's waiting to be cut at some point. And again, it's just a great area. You can store all sorts of bits and pieces out here, and it's a very useful, very handy area, I'd say. And again, if I cleaned up some of these window sections, it would have been probably a lot nicer to look through for this video. Right, without further ado, one thing I do want to say, obviously having an area like this where we're out of the weather, but we're still not in the main section of the boat in there, obviously, as you can see, the muddy sort of floor here because of the bad weather conditions, getting on board with either my bike or my muddy boots after walking up the towpath, being able to pop out of me wet clothes and stuff out here instead of having to go inside the boat and then obviously have your muddy wet clothes that you're brushing against the walls and stuff. It's obviously incredibly handy, this area, in the winter months for that sort of thing. So as we come down into the main cabin area, I can feel the heat almost hit me straight away from the fire that's burning at the moment. And looking around here, I'm a big fan of light painted interiors, whether that's in a house, a boat or whatever. I know a lot of people on boats like traditional looking boats where it's all the actual natural wood colours or stained wood on the inside, but that's just personal preference. I like the light colours because I feel it makes it feel a bit more open when you're in these confined areas. So as you can see, as we pan the camera around, I'm going to take a few steps forwards here just so that we can look back at the kitchen area, and I'll give you a few thoughts on this. So the kitchen area, a lot of people will look at it and think, flipping heck, that's a bit small. Now, what I'll say is you've got to remember I'm on here on my own, so it's not like I'm sitting down to make banquets or anything. I'd never claim to be master chef or anything of that nature, so a nice little little oven and hob combo with the grill there, that does me absolutely fine. The two kettles I've got on top, the red one is for just warming up water if I haven't had the engine running to heat up the main water tank. So that's for non-drinking water. The silver one, the proper kettle as I like to call it, is the drinking water one. Got the inverter and a few plug sockets and things behind that panel at the back, but that's all good. We don't need to talk too much about that. I've had some inverter issues in the past. But in all seriousness now, when we're looking around here, there's only two things to note. The oven is obviously fine for me. That does me absolutely fine. I know it's slightly controversial, it's quite high up, but I haven't found that as an issue for me. The little fridge, again, it's got a very small freezer section in it, very small. But again, it's only a small fridge, but I'm only a small boy, so that's fine for me. Then coming around here, we've obviously got the sink and the draining board. The sink, I think, well, again, there's nothing much to be said. It's not like I'm generating huge amounts of washing up or anything of that nature. Sorry about the cut in the video there. I just tried to show you my favourite feature of the kitchen and almost dropped my phone in the process. So, basically, as I say, obviously it's not like I'm generating huge amounts of washing up. Something I do love about the kitchen and the sink area is this extendable hose-based little tap section. So that's very handy for just rinsing off stuff on the draining board and that. But as we pan the camera around here, see how dirty the windows are. I'm blaming the recent bad weather washing muck off the roof for that, although that may not be entirely true. They might have just not been washed for a while. But as we pan the camera around here, again, you can see it's not too enclosed, and I personally feel it feels relatively open. And part of what I've done to enhance that open sort of feeling is moved my little storage boxes here. This originally was on that wall there opposite the sofa, and I felt that even though this makes obviously a little narrow channel to go through here, obviously now when you walk into the living room area, you've got your little stool which contains a lot of storage bits and pieces of things to go in the fire there that you can obviously shift around as and when you want. And I just feel that having this as a bit more of an open space, it feels much nicer on board, if that makes sense. And again, looking up to the back wall here, obviously I've got my storage shelves there, very thin storage shelves, and they're very handy. And again, you can see it's not like I've got tons and tons of stuff spilling all over the place off them. And then beneath that, I've obviously got my desk where I sit down and edit my videos and write my books and also build my model railway bits and pieces. So again, got your nice two-seater sofa here, only a small sofa obviously because it had to fit through the doors and that. Luckily, I bought this for the flat that I lived in between my two boats, and it just by the skin of my teeth managed to fit through the doors and through the little passageway on the boat to get on board. And again, as we walk through here, like I say, storage for just general officey sort of bits and pieces and anything else that you think you might need. And then I've got my new little feature, which is very handy for when I'm sitting down building my model railway bits and pieces. Obviously, my little desktop light magnifier glass. But as you can see, this setup, for me, on my own, this living room area setup, you've got somewhere to sit, somewhere to prop your laptop up and watch Netflix and stuff. And then somewhere where I can work on my railway, work on my books and work on my videos. And it's all in a very handy little space here. Now you can see here as we turn around, obviously we've got the fireplace here. It's a shame I left that dustpan and brush from some sweeping up I was doing around it, which I forgot to take out of shot. But if I just move this slightly out of shot here, as you can see, being able to sit down here on the sofa, and obviously you can shift the sofa up or down in this area however you want. You've got the fire throwing out a decent amount of heat. You can see the heat powered fan on top is going absolutely crazy there. And then if we open this up just to have a little look in, you can see nice fire just burning away nice and sensibly in there. And obviously we've got the coal and bits and pieces to the side. So as we come down this little alleyway here, we've got our shower room, toilet room, whatever you want to call it, well, bathroom I suppose. So the shower curtain, the controversial shower curtain, lives on here. And as you can see, it's a nice short small shower head, nothing major to report, nothing crazy to report here. It's just a very small shower. but works absolutely fine, does what you need it to do, and that's great. Obviously you got our towel rack there, and our window, and then of course, hello everybody, it's me, Dan Brown from Sort of Interesting. And yeah, again, it's nice and simple, straightforward. Got a bit of storage here, obviously a little sink and everything. And again, as somebody just here on my own, without having tons and tons of possessions or toiletries, this storage under here and in my little drawers there is absolutely fine. Obviously got a portable toilet there. We've also got a proper built-in toilet just there, a pump out toilet, and then another tank for the portable toilet there. I just personally prefer portable toilets because I think if anything goes wrong with it, then obviously you can just pick it up and take it off the boat, rather than having the toilet with the waste tank built into the boat itself. But that's just my sort of maybe obsessive, panicky, worrisome nature of coming through there in another way. So passing through here into the bedroom, this is where maybe I would have changed it if the stuff wasn't built in properly, like the cupboard in the corner and that and stuff like that. And as well, the bed, it's on top of just a big box basically, so there's a huge amount of storage under the bed. There's almost an entire double bed's amount of storage beneath it, and I don't really utilise that space for anything significant at all, so that's a lot of wasted space. But then I found that whereas I was originally planning on maybe putting in some drawers or something that could pull out of the under the bed section, I haven't really found the need for that sort of storage yet, so that's why it's sort of been left as it is. I've got my secondary curtain up there on the top half side for general privacy and what have you. So as you can see, we've got a full-size double bed on board, which is, I mean, you can't fault that at all. Certainly some interesting situations if there's more than one of you in bed and the person on that side wants to clamber out to go and, well, do anything else in any other section of the boat. So if you're on the outside, you've got the easy access to get off the boat, off the bed, but you've also got the fact that you are effectively, to a certain extent, a ladder for the person getting from the other side. But ultimately, again, I've got a full-size double bed. I'm absolutely fine. I'm very happy with that. 2 windows in here. Obviously, looking through there, I mean, that's a fantastic view, if you ask me, to wake up to and look through. And obviously, with the nature of living on a boat, depending on where you're moored up and what you want to see through your window, you can obviously, in many cases, untie your boat, move up or down the canal a little bit, and then have a completely different view out there. But to me, that's absolutely spot on. More storage bits and pieces in that cupboard there. All of this section that the step is on pulls forwards, and there's storage and the water pump underneath the front of the boat, beneath where the doors are there. And the step itself, of course, is also a bit of storage. And then if I just move my bag out of the way, you will see here, this is the wardrobe. I'm not going to point the camera too high and reveal all of my pants and socks and stuff. It's a bit chaotic in here at the minute. You can see beneath here we've got bags of clothing and stuff all over the place. We've got a few towels and stuff on board. But again, that's fine for me. So if we open up our front doors here, you can see the relatively dirty front doors from me always coming out here. Now, under the front crash cover, I've got to say, this is an absolutely fantastic place. If the boat is moving, and especially during the summer months, you can roll up the entire sides, not just the bits covering the window, so you can have it completely open here, and it still somehow feels covered over, even though you've only got like this very small roof section if the side sections are rolled up. But being able to sit out on these little pieces here, it's so nice. This being a boat, storage is key, so both of the seating areas are for obviously can be used for storage. They've actually both got little loops on them, so you could even lock those if you wanted, if you had anything particularly interesting in there. This is where I'm using this area to store my coal at the minute. So we've got a couple of bags over here, as you can see. And I just find that it's better somehow. It's easier to deal with the coal in the front section. I don't know if it's because it's heavier or what, but having the coal and heavy items in the front as well, because the water tank is underneath this section, it's it helps stop the boat starting to tilt backwards towards the stern as you use the water. Obviously keeping a lot of weight in the front here with the bags of coal, that's replacing the weight almost, or counteracting the weight that you lose when you run your taps, when you have a shower and the water tank gets emptier. And you might see some boats that are leaning quite far backwards as if the front is getting ready to launch into space. And so that's just something that I like. It helps even out the weight on the boat. That's one thing that I definitely wouldn't have done on this front section, is put down these carpet tiles. They were on the boat, luckily. I didn't buy these separately. I'm not sure where these tiles were. They'd been put in storage somewhere on the boat, possibly in one of these seating areas. And I thought, oh, that's nice. And in the summer, again, when you're out here in barefoot and there's no mud or anything about, it's great to have like a carpeted area. However, now you can see, as I've been stepping on and off with the coal and stuff like that, obviously there's lots of mud here, there's bits of coal that's been spilt on it, and I think it just would have been better if I'd have maybe just had a small doormat sort of thing in front of these doors here, and just left the rest as the basic metal flooring that makes up the rest of the boat. So I would say there's a few things that I would change on the boat maybe, but personally I'm very happy with the layout and it suits me on my own absolutely fine. And because obviously I'm here on my own, I'm able to adapt myself and my life to certain elements of boating and boat life. For me on my own, out playing in the middle of nowhere, being able to have this as a headquarters, a base, place to sit down and get warm and cosy in the evenings, it's a very, very perfect area for me as an individual. So I suppose on that note, I'll simply wrap this video up and say an absolutely huge thank you for tuning into this video. A huge thank you for the unbelievable amount of new subscribers in recent times. Please do subscribe if you haven't. Check out my other videos. You'll find a few dozen videos about life on board this boat, as well as hundreds of videos about life on my previous boat, Narrowboat Tilly. Hit the notification bell so that YouTube will hopefully tell you when I post a new video. And, well, if you're really curious, please do consider checking out my short books available for the Kindle as a paperback, and one of them even as an audiobook that I recorded myself. It really does help me out, and I suppose at this point I'll just pan the camera out here, have a look up at the sun through the window, and say thank you so much for tuning in. Check the links in the description for all sorts of different things I'm doing all over the internet, on Twitter and Facebook, posting all sorts of pictures of this sort of scenery, to be honest. And well, until the next time, my friends, have an absolutely fantastic day, keep it interesting, keep it boat worthy, and of course, my friends, farewell.